What's up, guys? It is reloading day today. So I'm going to be reloading a bunch of stuff. I'm going to be doing some AR-15 ammo, some 223. I'm not going to do any 5.56. I just got my, which it's a little hotter than the 223, but I'm just got a 223 recipe that I'm doing. But I figured I'd take you along on this trip to see how you kind of prep the brass and do all the stuff to it. So I'm going to turn this around and look at what I'm doing here. So essentially, guys, I've got a few different things. I've got a case trimmer, which you use to trim down the case to the right length. I've got some deburring tools. This is an outside deburring tool. This is an inside deburring tool. I think because I'm doing so much ammunition, I'm going to buy one of those little machines that automatically does it, so I don't have to do so many rounds. But that's the hand way of doing it. This is how you do it on the cheap. Here's some brass. Now, what I've done, I have a ton of brass here. I've already polished the brass. May do another video on how to polish it. But I separated the brass that needed to be trimmed and the brass that did not need to be trimmed, since it was just in a big pile. And it was some brass that I got from multiple places. So I check everything. When you're doing a rifle, rifles scare me because they have so much power in them. So I check everything when I'm doing it. So I check the length of the case. So I check that to see if it needs to be trimmed or not. I also look very close at the case head. This is called the case head. If you see like a little line starting to form on that, that means that it's getting weak right there. And generally, you can have a case head separation where literally when you fire this round, this splits in half, and it can be a bad deal. I'm not going to say it's lethal, but at the same time, I think I am going to say that it's lethal. It could kill you. So I pay really close attention to this. People that have been reloading forever in a million years can probably comment better to me on case head separation, but it is dangerous. So you definitely want to watch out for that. I also check the wall thickness. I check the thickness of this. I'll show you how to do that here in a second. But I check the thickness of it to make sure, because as the brass stretches, it's getting the stretch from back here where the case head is. So it will stretch out and you'll have to trim it back. Now, they generally say, as a rule of thumb, to only trim your brass up to 5 times, or really 4 times. If it gets to the fifth trimming, to just throw the brass out. But then you have to keep track of all your brass and make sure you shoot the right brass and figure out you collect the right brass. It kind of gets complicated. So I like to just measure everything with both a micrometer here, and I measure it also with the vernier calipers as well for the overall length, and then the width of it I will measure in here. And I can show you that real quick. I don't know if I can do this one-handed. So if I have, you'll take your calipers and you'll measure it that way. So measure it this way. The spec for the 223 here is 1.76 is kind of the maximum length that you want, but I like to trim mine to 1.75. So that's what we're looking for. So on the calipers, you see the 1 inch there, and then you see it go past the 7 right here. And then on the dial shows you the tens of thousands. So it goes around to 50, and that would be 1750. See, one inch point, and then the 7, or at least the numbers after the inch, are tenths of an inch, and then over here is thousandths of an inch. So 50 thousandths of an inch plus 7/10 of an inch is 750. So there you go. So there's the 1.75, and that's what you're looking for on these. If it's a little long, and you can see I've got some trimmings here. I've been trimming. If it's a little long, you'll put it into your case trimmer. How this works is you push down on this back thing, and that will allow you to insert, let me do it real quick, allow you to insert the brass into it where it holds the brass still, and then you put in the appropriate caliber little spacer here. You get these little things that you put in the end based on your caliber. I've got the 22 caliber in right now. You set this, you do use the manufacturer instructions, but you set this for the depth of where to go, and then all you do is you just turn it. Just turn it like this, give it a few times. You can tell when chips aren't falling off of it anymore, then it's probably trimmed. So it's trimmed to the right size. So then you take it out. I'm going to have to push down on this, hang on. And you take it out. Now, there's going to be a burr on the edge of this because it was trimmed. So there's going to be a burr on this, and that can affect your ballistics. So that's where these deburring tools come from. I'm not gonna be able to do it because I'm holding the camera, but this one goes on the inside and it deburrs it. And then this one, when you slide it over, will do the outside rim. Okay. So that way you deburr the outside and the inside when you do it. And that is pretty much the case prep that I do outside of, like I said, polishing and things like that, which I can show that in a different video. But that is the case prep. I forgot to mention how to do this. So I measure how thick this is. These should be somewhere around point, what is it? 0.36. So what this is a 1-inch micrometer. Now, if you don't know how to read micrometers, they are a little bit weird. They're backwards as to what you would think. As you open the jaw here, as you open the jaw up, you're actually going from 0, and as you're opening it, it's increasing. So it's increasing towards an inch. This is a 1-inch micrometer is what this is. And so its maximum is 1 inch that it can measure. So you have this little back piece on it. I don't know if you can see that. Can you hear it? That snaps because that way when you're twisting this in, because you back it out, you put it around something and then you twist it in till this little plunger touches what you're trying to measure. Now the problem is if you have something that's delicate, you can twist this and this will actually deform it. It'll actually squish it. Well, you don't want it to squish. So this has been designed, let me lay it right here. This has been designed where when you turn it and you hold it by this little knob right here, when it binds up on something, it will actually start clicking and basically slip. So that way you don't take a chance. If you're up here, you don't take a chance on twisting and squishing whatever it is that you're trying to measure. So now on these, how to read these. Here, let me lay it down. This might be easier to point to. So how you read these, let me grab something to point with, is each one of these tick marks is 25 thousandths of an inch, okay? So the big numbers are tenths of an inch, so that's 0.0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, so on and so forth, right? Then each one of these in the middle is 25 thousandths. So there's 25 thousandths, 50 thousandths, 75 thousandths, and then 100 thousandths, which would be 0.1. 0.1 is 100 thousandths. And then again, 25, 50, 75, and then 200 thousandths, so on and so forth. Now, on the big barrel here that you twist is each tick on here is 1,000th of an inch. And so you can see that it basically goes in 25 thousandth increments. So from 0, then you got 5 thousandths, 10 thousandths, 15, 20, and then if we turn it back to 0, that's another 5 thousandths. That's 25 thousandths. Okay, so each one of those ticks is 25 thousandths. All right. So I'm going to see if I can do this. Maybe I can do this. So I'm going to hold it, turn it in. I'm going to hold it by that little tail and see. Watch. I don't know if you can hear that clicking, but that's how I know I've stopped. Now, if we zoom in, I don't know if I can really see if I can get this to zoom in like a macro lens. There we go. Now you can see, let's see if I can get a hold of it. On this one, I'm down at the base of it. I am about, 50, I'm past the 50,000, so it's 350 thousandths, but then I got to add 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 thousandths to that. So really, this is about 0.374. It's 1,000th of an inch smaller than 0.375. And 0.376 is the spec for this. So if it gets, I would say probably about 5 thousandths or more less than what the spec is. So if it was at like 300, I would probably throw this away. Now that might be that some of you might be able to let it thin out even more than that, but I don't know. I just, like I said, rifle stuff scares me, so I'd rather be safe than sorry. I've got a lot of brass. So here I would say is acceptable. 374 is acceptable. But if it was 300 or less than 300, I would throw this away. So I wouldn't use it because it has stretched a whole bunch, you know, and it's been trimmed and trimmed and trimmed. And basically what that means is the walls of this, the sidewalls are getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And so you can have a case head separation if it gets too thin. So that is okay, but that's how you read those. Well, guys, I hope you're having a great day. I hope things are going well for you. I hope this kind of helped you out a little bit. Make sure and do your research. I highly recommend getting a book. I've got one over here. Get a book. I've got the Lyman 50th anniversary. I think they probably got a new one out now. But definitely get a reloading book that tells you about all the different calibers and everything. Make sure and get a reloading book. Read it thoroughly because there is a lot. I mean, this stuff is dangerous. I mean, if you reload incorrectly, it can end your life. It can be a bad deal. So make sure that you're safe. Make sure you look at it, and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And there'll be more stuff like this. Sorry, it's been a while since I made a video, but I've got my dog. See her? Where's she at? There she is. There she is, Aurora. I think she's asleep under me. But I've got my dog. She's getting bigger. I know. Last video, I think I had her in. She was just a puppy. So she's getting bigger. It's been a lot easier to make videos and stuff now that she's bigger because she sleeps a lot and things like that. So I'll hopefully be putting out more videos. But thanks again, guys. We'll talk to you later.